Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to go over some logistics quickly before the presentation starts. For your audio connection, if you're having difficulty connecting to audio, please use the telephone number that's annotated here on the slide. Enter the passcode, and you will get assistance on getting in via audio only. Note all attendees are muted during this session. You can manage the way you view the session by clicking on the layout button at the top of the screen. Our speakers were asking that if you are not presenting at the time, please make sure that your camera and your microphones are muted. If you require closed captioning, a link will be provided throughout the session so that you can click on the link and paste it into your browser to access the closed captioning option. If anyone is having difficulty getting in, or any of your fellow viewers having any difficulty, my email address is robin.dixonjefferson@cfpb.gov. If you email me, myself or my co-chair, Ms. Susan Funk, will assist you on getting in. With that, I will now turn this event over to our presenters for this afternoon.
Thank you, Robin. I'm going to go through some preliminary slides on the FinEx program quickly so I can give plenty of time for our K through 12 presenters to go through their material. This is a disclaimer I need to go through. This presentation is being made by a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau representative on behalf of the Bureau. It does not constitute legal interpretation, guidance, or advice of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Any opinions or views stated by the presenter are the presenter's own and may not represent the Bureau's views. The inclusion of links or references to third-party sites does not necessarily reflect the Bureau's endorsement of the third party, the views expressed on the third-party site, or products or services offered on the third-party site. The Bureau has not vetted these third parties, their content, or any products or services they may offer. There may be other possible entities or resources that are not listed that may also serve your needs. And I've also been reminded to tell you all that you can put any questions you have throughout the presentation in the chat. If you don't see the chat box, if you go to the bottom and click on the little bubble that says chat next to it, it will come up, and then you can send your questions to everyone or just the panelists. You can choose either if you want your question to be private, and we'll answer them at the conclusion of the presentation. The CFPB's mission, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is a 21st century agency that helps consumer finance markets work by making rules more effective, by consistently and fairly enforcing those rules, and by empowering consumers to take more control over their economic lives. Here are some of the benefits when you join FinEx. You'll get information directly to your box on the webinars like the one we have today, and we do 10 to 20 webinars a year. And you'll also be able to join our LinkedIn discussion group. We'll send you a welcome message with all the links when you join. And you can also learn more about ordering resources and materials, which I'll show you in another slide in just a second. This is a screenshot of our pandemic page. I just want to make everybody aware that it's there. It covers things both regarding managing your finances, dealing with eviction challenges, foreclosure. It talks about what resources are available and where to go for help. And it's linked into the Health and Human Services webpage, the Centers for Disease Control, and some other relevant agencies, including the White House Coronavirus Task Force page. And this is our online resources for practitioners. Everything that we have in our publication house, for the most part, you can access here by going through one of the links that you see near the bottom. You will get a copy of these slides if you registered. If you didn't register, you can actually send an email to us, and we'll still send you a copy of the slides. And so I just put this information in the chat about that. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because you'll be able to link in and go through those yourself. And another page here is just to show you our landing page for financial education for adults. And on the right, you'll see a box that says email address. That is where you can put your email in to join the FinEx program. This is our webinar archives page. And this is an older screenshot. We do have another webinar posted since this one in our September webinar. And I welcome you to visit. There's also below, you can't see them all. There's over 50 webinars that have been done since the program started. And so you can go and download the slide deck, you can read the transcript, or you can watch the recording. And we encourage you to use those resources and turn them into your own and use them for training for your clients and those that you work with. We want you to do that. And the only thing we ask is that you take our logo off if you alter the slides. And here are the key links for you if you want to take a quick picture of this page if you haven't seen it before. It'll tell you how to get to the coronavirus page I showed you. The second bullet is how to order the page where you can order bulk copies. If you're doing classes, you can order a number of the booklets that you need for your clients or students in your class. And you can also see the email for the CFPB box here. And the LinkedIn page is also the second to the last bullet. If you click that bullet, you'll be able to go to the LinkedIn page, request to join. I pretty much about every other day now am adding people to the LinkedIn page, and you'll join 3,500 or more individuals that are networking, and you can post any announcements you have on that page as well. Okay, and that ends our preliminary introduction. I'd like to now take a quick minute and introduce our wonderful speakers for today. I'd like to introduce Leslie Jones. Leslie is a youth financial education analyst at the CFPB. She's a former business teacher, instructional designer, curriculum supervisor, and developer. She advises on the benefits of K-12 financial education and the challenges of incorporating personal finance topics into K-12 courses. Leslie is a certified business teacher in Virginia. She was recognized in 3 editions, 2000 through 2005, of Who's Who Among America's Teachers, and was a member of the 2004 National Outstanding High School Business Department, sponsored by the Association for Career and Technical Educators. Leslie has a master's degree in instructional design and development from George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, and two bachelor's degrees. One from Bowling Green State University in Bowling Green, Ohio, in marketing education, and the other from Lake Erie College in Painesville, Ohio, in arts, management, and sales. I'd also like to introduce to you Lynn Harrelson. Lynn is a financial education program analyst at the CFPB, working on youth financial education outreach and policy. She held previous positions as a community development specialist with the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, and an assistant director for the Arkansas Department of Rural Services. Lynn conducts outreach to schools, communities, and parent organizations on youth financial education resources, research, and policy. Lynn is a native of Arkansas. She earned her master's degree in business administration from the University of Arkansas Little Rock and her Bachelor of Science in accounting from Arkansas Tech University. I'd like to welcome Lynn and Leslie, and thank you both for sharing your expertise with our audience. We'll now move forward with the presentation for the day.
Thank you, Heather. So to give you a little bit of background on the Bureau itself, we kind of have 3 buckets in which we operate the organization. First is empowerment. We create tools, answer common questions, provide tips that help consumers navigate their financial choices and shop for the deal that works best for them in their current financial situation. Of course, as a regulator, we also enforce. So we take action against predatory companies, individuals, practices that violate the law and have already returned billions of dollars to consumers who have been harmed. We also educate. We encourage financial education and capability from childhood all the way through retirement. We publish research and educate financial companies about their responsibilities to you as consumers. The resources we have are developed to assist both consumers and those of you that work with consumers of all ages, and this is what we will be talking about and focus on today. So everything we do at the Bureau related to financial education is centered around the concept of financial well-being. Financial well-being is the ultimate goal of all financial education coming from the Bureau and protection efforts. Financial well-being is at the Bureau is a commonly agreed upon and consumer-driven definition and measure of the concept of financial well-being is the ability to meet financial obligations and still be able to make choices to enjoy life. This can be done at both lower income levels as well as high income levels. It's all about managing the resources you have in a way that both meets your immediate needs and also allows you to plan for your future. Following our adult financial well-being research, we sought to understand what knowledge, habits, skills youth need to acquire in childhood that builds towards financial well-being in adulthood. We researched the childhood origins of financial capability and well-being. We have identified how, when, and where youth acquire critical attributes, abilities, and opportunities that support the development of financial well-being. And we created a developmentally informed skills-based model on which all of the resources you'll see today are built. Across the top of this diagram are the 3 building blocks of youth financial education. Children and youth need all 3 of the interconnected blocks to achieve financial capability and make progress towards adult financial well-being. The building blocks include executive function, the thinking skills and abilities needed to plan ahead, focus attention, remember information, practice self-control, and juggle multiple tasks. The second is financial habits and norms. Those are the values, standards, routine practices, and rules to live by used to navigate day-to-day financial life. And finally, financial knowledge and decision-making skills. The knowledge skills needed to understand the financial world and make informed financial decisions. Down the left side is the developmental stage in where youth begin to acquire each of these building blocks. You will note the check mark indicates the optimal developmental stage for beginning the acquisition of each building block. However, each building block can be built on and improved throughout childhood and beyond. All things related to youth financial education, just as Heather has shown you the adult financial education, the youth financial education webpage contains everything we have for you regarding youth financial education at the CFPB. Through this page, the Bureau provides tools and resources to understand best practices in financial education, evaluation financial criteria, and to explore relevant research that we have compiled, both that we have done as well as a lit review of other youth financial education research. This is a page documenting our youth financial capability survey that I'd like to pass it now to Leslie Jones to discuss.
Thank you very much, Lynn. 2 years ago, we adapted the CFPB measurement guide into a student self-assessment tool that educators could use in their classrooms. This fall, we published an online version of that tool that parents, educators, and community leaders can use to develop financial capability skills. As Lynn said previously, the CFPB identified 3 building blocks of youth financial capability skill building But how do you know if young people are acquiring those skills? What are the skills? For executive functioning skills, as was said previously, children begin to demonstrate self-regulation, persistence, focus, that ability to tell themselves no. And as they gain financial habits and norms between the ages of 6 to 12, they show a positive attitude towards saving, frugality, planning, self-control, start to figure out how they want to navigate their financial world. And then as we look towards teens, we're looking at building their financial knowledge and decision-making skills between the ages of 13 and 21. And we're looking to find out, are they identifying trusted sources of information? Are they processing that information? That is an example of just some of the milestones that this survey checks for to see if students have acquired. So young people will can be able to complete this self-assessment survey in less than 15 minutes. It gives a snapshot of their financial capability areas of strength and areas of growth. And to begin the survey, they will click that magic "Let's do this" button. The elementary students are then taken to the survey with 5 sections, and the 5 sections have a header that identifies the Likert scale for each of the sections. Here's a screenshot of the page of a page of elementary questions and the progress bar. The students have indicated to us they like the progress bar being able to give them an idea of where they are in the survey and how long they have to complete it. In this case, the students are given a situation that they imagine they want a new game, and they're asked, what do you think about before you buy a game? And then they look at the choices and identify what seems more accurate for how they navigate their financial world. Let's look at middle school. When the middle school students start their journey and complete this self-assessment, they can review the privacy statement and learn that we do not collect any personal data, we don't collect their name, we don't collect school information, birth date information, etc. And they also have 20 questions to answer. I have a question for you. Do you usually evaluate online classroom tools according to the collection of PII? I know for myself as an instructor, the more information that's collected on my students, the more likely I'm not to use an online tool. I was just wondering if you factor that in as you choose things for your classroom, or if that's not something that you normally worry about. If you could let us know in the chat, I would appreciate some information and guidance on that. All right, so let's show you some of these middle school questions. They again click the "Let's do this" button. And this is an example of one of the sections of middle school questions. And in this case, they also have 5 sections because there are still only 20 questions. And this is a screenshot of a middle school section. This one, the Likert scale, is asking how much the student disagrees or agrees with the statements. And they have questions like, I don't have to buy the things my friends have, and I don't need to have a lot of money and expensive things. And they identify, do they disagree or agree with the statement? Thank you for giving me your feedback about PII, the collection of that. Now here's your next question. Do you think your students would like to use this edit feature that we have? So there's 5 sections, and right now we're working in section 3, but we're able to go back and edit section 1 or 2. So how likely do you think your student would be to go back and choose edit? Do your students tend to get right through a quiz or a test and then just click the finish button, or are they more likely to want to take time to stop, review, and edit? Just curious about that too. Okay, all right. Thank you, Todd. All right, I'm going to go to looking at high school. So the high school survey has 30 questions because at this age, young people have developed more financial knowledge and decision-making skills. So there are more questions on that topic. students have indicated to us that they like the fact that these questions do not contain math problems. Instead, they focus on how the student feels or responds to situations involving money. And again, let me show you one of the sections of questions. In this one, the Likert scale is how often does each statement describe you or your situation. And this one is, I'm confident in my ability to achieve a financial goal I set. If I really want something, I work hard to get it. Or when I'm in trouble or have a challenge to deal with, I can usually find a solution. And does this describe you or your situation, or does it rarely describe you in the situation, or maybe you just don't even know? And with this one, there are 6 sections, and the students would be able to go back and restart or edit anytime that they need to. Looks like most students would just finish and not do a lot of editing. All right, so after they have gotten through here, the students, after they have finished answering all of the questions, they check in and they click Get My Results button, but they can only do so once all of the sections are complete. And this is the top of the results page. On this page, the top level is the overall result. Students don't get scores. We got feedback from focus groups that the students didn't like getting a score because then they felt like that ranked them and compared them to one another. Instead, they receive results. And the 3 categories of results are starting out, on the road, as well as on your way. And our teacher guide provides more information on what the actual percentage breakdown is, what the percentage breakdown typically looks like in each of the categories based on middle school, elementary school, or high school. So if you want to look at basically what the bell curve looks like, that information is provided in our teacher guides. And the categories are planning, self-control, money habits and values, and money knowledge and choices that the students get their results categorized in. And those all translate into the 3 building blocks. And let me show you how that works. In this situation, the student is well on the road to overall to achieving their money journey and their financial capability skill building. So we've looked at the first of the subtopics, and the first is planning and self-control, which equals the executive function building block. And as students review their results in each of these 3 sections, they're given examples of what this building block was measuring, and then given 2 questions to stop and think on to build their skills. So do you have any students, this is a question for the audience again, do you have any students who would use this feedback and guidance to improve on their own? Do you think you have students that would use this kind of feedback or guidance to improve on their own? So students possibly are learning this for the first time. They're able to get examples of what the planning and self-control looks like and why it's important for money management and for their money journey. And then also for the stop and think, they're asked to stop and think, well, what do I do well in this area, and what can I do to work on to improve? All right, so now let me show you the second category, and that's money habits and values. And for this building block, young people are given a clear picture of their emerging financial capability, skill building. Now, the thought is that if they then take it again later, they can then compare their progress over time. But there's no automatic situation. This is completely manual. So they would take it and say, print out their scores, or save, not scores, print out their results, save their results, and then be able to check in, say 6 months or the following year, and see how much that they've improved or changed over time. And we're going to show you, Todd, we're going to show you some information on some additional stuff that we have that the students can use to help build their skills. This is only the first part. The examples and the stop and think are only the first step to providing themselves with information on how to get better. In the third category, money knowledge and choices, in the elementary and middle school version, this building block is expected to be less robust, and fewer students will receive a result that is high on the road or well on their way. But Lynn used this with some students last month, and I think she has some things that she can share with us that she learned about it. Students' feedback. Is Lynn there?
Yes, next page.
No, okay.
You want me to give the feedback now before?
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay. I actually have some that have it built in. So here is our results next page. Once the students have kind of got their individual results as Leslie talked about, the next steps for elementary students is simply to complete an individual next steps worksheet. As Leslie said, they're not expected to be robust in some of the higher elementary age is really where we're hoping to really hone that executive function and lean a little bit into the second building block. In middle school and high school, students' next steps are a little more substantive and come in three parts. The first is taking the next steps on your money journey worksheet, as with the elementary. This can help them think about and explore their strengths and set goals to get the money future that they themselves want. Second portion is the talk with your teacher educator about their money map. A teacher, as Todd pointed out, a teacher or an educator can help youth set goals and find the right activities to support their progress on their money journey. And thirdly, is to talk with a parent or trusted adult about their money journey. Parents and trusted adults can explore resources to help guide the conversation with their tween or teen. The CFPB offers downloadable handout resources that provide conversation starters on our Money as You Grow page. They include things like getting a pet, buying a car, paying with a credit card, moving to a new home, or paying bills. I recently used the middle and high school survey and solicited feedback from a group of teens in a program that teaches them to teach or mentor their peers. And I asked them three questions. The first was, what did you learn about your own financial capability that surprised you? Some students indicated they knew more than they thought. Others were surprised they didn't know as much as they thought. And still others were, one comment I got was like, oh, there's no score, so I didn't, no, I'm not comparing. Kind of like Leslie said, they don't really like that score ranking type thing when it comes to this topic. The second question I asked them is, who influences your money decisions? Responses to this question often were parents, grandparents, other family member. Some of these children were from pretty low income schools, and they indicated that their teacher or a mentor at the school is where they went to. However, they also mentioned they tend to validate whatever they hear from these adults with their peers. They indicated that sometimes the adults in their lives aren't current on some of the latest fintech and digital currencies, and so they don't feel like they're getting that type of information. Also, they just like the confidence that comes from a consensus of their peers that understanding gives them. Another question is, how did the results make you feel? Many students expressed that they were happy to have determined a baseline for where they are and liked being able to have resources and guidance on how to improve. They pointed out that often you take a survey, you get the results, which may not be great, and then you have no idea what to do to change your results, right? Other students who were in the final 2 years of high school lamented and expressed some anxiety about their position on their financial education, and said things like, well, why did my, I have to take this math course, I have to take this or that, why isn't, if this is such an important skill, and I think it is, most of them felt it was, then why was it not taught? Why am I not adequately being prepared? And they had anxiety about maybe running out of time before going out on their own. Next slide, please. Oh, I can control it. Okay. So results can be printed. As Leslie has described, we don't collect anything, but students are asked to enter their initials on that page, and then the results page can be saved as a PDF. A link to the results can be shared by email, or it can be submitted in a learning management system. Students are always encouraged to save it in some form so that at some point they can retake it maybe and see if they've progressed. As mentioned, the CFPB has developed over 260 financial literacy activities. These are activities that they're organized in a searchable database to make finding what you need easy. These activities are between 15 and 90 minutes long. Each activity comes with a teacher guide, supporting student material, so educators, parents, trusted adults, or even youth themselves can quickly find activities to help them improve on areas identified as needing attention in their survey results. I'll next turn it back over to Leslie.
Thank you. So we have created two classroom activities that can help a teacher implement the survey in their classroom. One is for elementary school, and the other two are for middle and high school. And it's just all about completing the survey, how to follow up with it, how to lay the groundwork to explain to the students what they're doing. So if you're saying, this looks interesting and I'd like to try it, but exactly how am I going to put it into my lessons, this teacher guide can give you an idea. I believe it's like a 4-page teacher guide, so it's real easy to get through. What's really nice about it, I always say about our teacher guides, the very first page of the teacher guide is pretty much just a duplicate of what is here on the screen. We give you the big idea that you're trying to accomplish in your lesson, give you the essential questions and objectives of the lesson. We even give you the Bloom's taxonomy. So if you have to provide some information like that in your lessons, we have that for you, as well as identify the national standards that we're teaching to. So we cover all of that information for you if you need to provide it. So the next thing I wanted to just show you is talk about one of our other activities. And this activity you can use after you do the survey. So you've done the survey, you want to build on it, do a little bit more. And in this one, the young people are guided through the process of having a discussion about what happens after high school and how do I pay for it, and looking at paying for that post-secondary education. So the activity has them plan the conversation, who they're going to speak to, why do they want to do this, what kind of questions do you think you'll get asked, what information do you need to answer those questions? And then it also gives them some talking points about financial aid options and whether they'd be eligible for financial aid options. So this is just an example of one of the activities that we have that can be a follow-up activity after they've gotten that mapped their money journey. And one of the next steps can be, well, how am I going to earn more money? How am I going to just earn money in general when I graduate from high school? And how am I going to pay for it? And having that conversation with your family. And then let's see here. Let me show you one of our other features, and that's ordering our publications. We have what I call, if you've ever been to a warehouse store and you go in and you go in to buy 1 or 2 items and you come out with a cart full of stuff, that's like visiting our bulk publication site, but in a really good way, because when you get up to the registers of checkout, we just ask you for, unfortunately, your name and address, but that's because we're going to deliver the items to your front door, and everything is at no cost. Nothing that we have costs you any money. So you can order our bookmarks, you can order our classroom posters, our storybooks, you can order our handouts, and they will all be shipped to you at no cost to you. Usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks for you to receive them. Posters or things like understanding credit scores, what is debt, keeping your Social Security number safe, just a variety of topics like that. And so if you've never taken a look at our bulk publication site and look for free things, then I can assure you that you have not yet had one of your best experiences that you'll ever have in your life. All right, so now I want to show you, you can follow us on social media, but I'm going to switch us right now to my computer and share with you the actual live site. If you have some questions, please type them in the chat as we go, and I will be happy to answer them, but I wanted to actually show you what the tool looks like live, not just our screenshots. So, excuse me. So in this situation, we're in our youth financial education portal. You can learn about the building blocks. You can learn how to teach the building blocks. You can get tools for assessing the building blocks. We have a great financial terms glossary. That glossary is probably the most visited page on these building block pages. So I highly recommend our glossary if you've never looked at it. And then our research in terms of the research that we have. But we're here on the assess page, and on the assess page, we have all of the tools that we have for the elementary survey, middle school survey, and high school survey listed here, as well as the building blocks and measurement guide information if you actually want to read the reports this stuff is based on. And you click the Start Money, Map Your Money Journey survey if you'd like to get to this page where the students would choose the grade level that they are in order to begin their survey. You can also send students straight to the grade appropriate survey page. In this case, what I've done is I've gone ahead and answered the questions. And here is that Get My Results button that I described, and I'm going to go ahead and click it for the elementary. When I click, oh, wow, that is really, okay, let's try a different grade level. I'm doing really great. This is for middle school. Okay, wow, this is really interesting. I'm having I don't think this is going, okay, this one, notice that when you've missed a question, it's going to tell you that you've missed a question, and you can click to go to the question that you've missed, and we'll see. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to close everything to my right, and we'll just try one of these. And I will go through the entire thing to give you an idea of how it actually works in total. Okay, click next, and click next. Because I'm pretty sure what has happened is I did this so long ago that it has frozen and needs to be reactivated. I'm pretty sure that is what has happened here. And that was it. Yes, there it is. I've got my results. Okay, I'm only going to be able to show you one grade level, but in this case, I am on the road, and barely on the road, but I'm on the road. And as we have said, you get the option of looking at your 3 building blocks: planning, self-control, money habits and values, money knowledge, and choices. And immediately the students can look at the 3 things that they can use to get farther down on the road to their money journey. And they can explore their strengths, they can talk to their teacher, talk to a parent or trusted adult. And and what happened is, this case, the student is on the road in terms of planning and self-control. And as we identified, they've got examples and the stop and think. For their money habits and values, again, examples and a stop and think. And then for money choices, an example of this one. In this case, I'm on the road for all of them, but you can see the cars in different positions are not always the same. So the car does move along the track depending on how well the student's doing. One of the other things that, that Lynn mentioned is this worksheet. And every grade level has a worksheet. We've identified whether it's middle, elementary, or high school in terms of taking the next steps on their money journey. And in this case, what the student does, and all of our PDFs are fillable PDFs, and they can go through and identify where are they on their journey. So this is another way of documenting their results. They check 2 behaviors that they think they're best at doing. So in this case, we've got some specific things that they can just check off. So instead of the questions that we were asking over here, so up here we ask them, what skills do you think are your strongest? But we have a whole lot of words that they have to look through. In the worksheet instead, we're just giving, for the most part, 2 or 3 word bullets that they can just select. And then they identify which one do they want to get better at doing. And then they would be able to type that in here. So maybe a child wants to get better at planning ahead, okay? And they would be able to type that in. And then the same thing for money habits, same thing for money knowledge. And then the last page, and there's only 3 pages, so it's not too extensive. They have 2 reflection questions. What's one thing you'd like to save money for? And what's one thing you can start doing soon to help you get to the money future you want? So you can see that this, this document does help the student look at what have I been told I do well, what can I do better at, and what kind of things do I want to do better for? And so it leads them through that process of thinking about what starts them the planning. It lets them think about what their habits are and what they might be able to change, and what money knowledge that they should acquire. And then, of course, be able to have conversations with their teacher or another trusted adult, as hopefully a parent, about what they can do. And as Lynn said, they can print the results, save the results as a PDF, or they can share their results with you or a parent through an email or through an LMS. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and turn this back over to Heather, who has been identifying questions that you might have for us.
Thank you, Leslie, and Lynn too. That was excellent, both of you. Leslie, while you were speaking, a question popped up from Sandra. Are there activities designed for 3 to 5 year olds? She's seeing activities for 5 to 7 year olds, but not younger.
Yes, there are activities. I'm sorry, the activities, I apologize. Let me go back to that page. We have it by grade level. I'm sorry, you said 3 to 5 year olds? No, the 3 to 5 year old information would be on our Money as You Grow page. So if you look on our main youth financial education page, on the sidebar that's on the right-hand side, it says resources for parents. That's where we have that information. Most of our building block information is for.
I dropped that in
you.
the chat.
Thank you. I appreciate it, because for 3 to 5 year olds, for the most part, the education is being done at home. So we leave it in the parents portal and not in our classroom educators portal.
Great.
Are there any other questions?
It doesn't look like there's any other questions right now. Several people have thanked you for the great information, and they're looking forward to getting copies of the slides. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback that everyone's finding everything useful.
Well, this is definitely a relatively fast tool that you can use, and you have follow-up that you can do afterwards. And if you've got some time to kill with students towards the end of a class period or something along those lines, this is something you can have them do, and they get instant information, and then you can decide whether or not you want to extend their learning with it or not. And it's definitely I want to call it a non-threatening tool, because they're not getting some score and getting stressed out. Several of the students, as they participated in our focus group testing, finished saying, you know, when is this going to be alive? When am I going to be able to share this with my friends? That kind of thing. So seems very favorable, and we're hoping that you find the same thing. Have an absolutely wonderful afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And I wanted to let those on the line know that our next webinar, FinEx webinar, will be on December 16th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And it'll be on identity theft. And we'll have an update from the Federal Trade Commission's identity theft program, as well as a speaker from the Bureau talking about protecting your clients and protecting folks from identity theft. So thank everyone for attending. Thank you to Susan and Robin for doing such a great job on the tech and helping everything run smoothly in the background. Leslie and Lynn, a great presentation. Thank you for everyone that came, and we will get those slides out to you in the next couple of days. And you can check back in a couple of weeks to see the recording up on the webpage. Take care. Bye-bye.